Welcome to Cosmic Comics, Games and Collectibles, your zen of geekism. We carry comics old and new, magazines, toys, games like Pokemon, Magic, D&D. Want Godzilla, Ultraman, Star Trek, Ninja Turtles, Funko Pops? You'll find it all here. Shop our Cosmic Sound Room and pick up a record or two. Enjoy our Comic Coffee Lounge with a cup of Sasquatch coffee or a delicious menu item while geeking out over a super cool movie on our big screen. Come by and say hello to Maui. Cosmic Comic, Games and Collectibles. Superman loves us, and so will you.
That was the only gorilla with a gun I could find on YouTube, and I just had to throw it in there. That was a clip from the Three Stooges called Tommy Gorilla. So yes, we're going to be talking about gorillas and guns tonight, and we're going to talk about the original gorilla with a gun, six-gun gorilla. With us tonight, we have Brian Wolfgang von Schreck, also known as Brian Kriskow, the guy behind the six-gun gorilla. Brian, how you doing tonight, man?
Very good. Very good. Thank you. Thank you very much. And especially after seeing that clip, you know, that's got me all revved up.
This is the final night for Six-Gun Gorilla Cemetery Without Crosses.
This is the end of the campaign. I do have to, you know, keeps it real and remind everybody we are going into demand.
Of course.
But it is the last 6 hours, I think. Maybe
if I hit refresh, I've got it here. I just haven't shared it yet.
Okay.
Because I'm working without my mouse. Yes, 6 hours left, which means it's probably 6 hours and 30 some odd minutes.
Yep.
I left my mouse in Arkansas again when I traveled down here, so I'm having to use the touchpad on screen. So everything's slower because it's like, you know, I got to finger over to the toolbar and I got tap 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 scroll. Oh, and for whatever reason, this stupid Lenovo ThinkPad works differently than any laptop had before, because every other one is like, I can say, okay, if a mouse is plugged in, turn the pad off. You can't do that with a ThinkPad. So I'm sitting here typing all the time and suddenly I'm somewhere else.
No. So like your palm will like brush against the mouse. Oh God.
I hate that.
It's got to be maddening. Yeah. Yes. I feel your pain, brother. I feel your pain.
I was like, I'm working. Porn, where'd that come from? I'm blaming that. It's always the pad's fault.
It is.
It only happens when I'm in a Zoom, when I'm, you know, Zooming at work. I have no idea how that works. Right. So, no, I'm kidding about that. But it is annoying that, you know, suddenly I've closed my entire browser before, all because of where the mouse pointer was when my hand hit the. Oh, hate that.
If you're not used to using those things, and I'm not, I'm a desktop guy. But oh God, yeah, you're in for a whole bunch of frustration.
I wonder if I could just like take a piece of masking tape and just put it across there, if it would like be enough of a barrier to.
Maybe it's worth a try. You know,
but then, you know, the thing is,
doesn't leave a sticky residue.
Yeah, and for nights like this, when I've packed everything up for a weekend here back in St. Louis, and I forgot my mouse, I just peel it off and put it back on again later.
There you go.
Something else. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put 3 strips of masking tape together. I'm going to cut it into a nice little square that's a little bit longer than this, and I'm going to market it as touchpad covers.
There you go.
Always thinking.
Black. I find that black electrical tape is good too. It doesn't. That also doesn't leave like a lot of residue, and it looks cooler too.
It does, because it'll kind of blend in.
Right. So if all you need is just like a big square of that shit, and you can market it as covers for those annoying mouse those laptop.
This touchpad thing here. I had a piece of black masking tape that went right here all the time. It was just like, because everybody was covering their things at work. I'm like, seriously, were that really worried about it? And security guys were like, oh yeah, it happens all the time. Oh, well, but I'm like, I stream like every night. So I'd be like going through masking black tape like crazy. So I just bought these little slider bars at Walmart. And there were like 3 of them. I'm like, here, throw them on your computer.
Yeah, you have to watch out, man. I mean, I don't think the NSA or the CIA or FBI are very interested in our conversations. But if you are working from home and your superior has the opportunity or the ability to spy on you while you're working, make no mistake, they'll do it.
My phone is already spying on me, and I've proven it beyond a shadow of a doubt on multiple occasions. I talked with them at work about it because I work in the financial industry as a day job. And we're working with a product from IBM that we're getting ready to install. And I'm like, I have my work computer, not this computer. I never use this computer for work, this work. So I've got their computer, and it's like on the other desk beside me. I rotate it over, and I'm on that. And I've got my phone sitting here, and that's all. And we'll be talking with the IBM guys about implementing the product, and when are we going to do testing, and when can we substantiate some scripts that we're putting out here, and then I'll come back to this computer later, and I'll bring up Twitter, and I'll get promoted tweets from IBM for that specific product. And I'm like, why? And the only common denominator is that my phone is there because it's done it to me before. It's listened to me while driving, and I'm not searching for something. I just, say, hey, that looks like a cool place. And then I'll start getting ads for that place.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's never happened to me personally, but I know a lot of people that it's happened to. It's a thing.
Uncanny.
It is. And I have to say, I was really disappointed, very, very disappointed in my fellow Americans when Edward Snowden revealed the fact that our government's spying on us. And let's face it, that's not the relationship between elected representatives and the people. That's the relationship between a master and a slave. And everybody just kind of went, meh.
But think about this, Brian. 50 years ago, our grandparents, if the government had come to them and said, we are going to give you tracking devices so that we will always know where you're at. Doesn't cost you a cent. Just carry it with you. And also, by the way, we'd like to take some of your DNA. We're not going to charge you for this, but we'd like to get some of your DNA and put it on file so that, we can track you even further. Is that okay? They'd have run them out with pitchforks.
Yeah. It would have gone over well in East Germany, like before the fall of the Berlin Wall.
Yeah.
That's like some Stasi level shit is what that is.
But here we are in 2021, and we've got a generation who's like, hey, we'd like to sell you for $800 this tracking device that will tell us where you are all the time. And for $99, we'll take your DNA if you want to give it to us, and we'll track you with that too. Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, take it. Shut up and take my money.
Yep. And then of course, my favorite straw man argument. Well, if you're not doing anything bad, then you have nothing to worry about.
Yeah, you won't define what's bad until you see me do it. And they're like, oh, we never thought of that before. Yeah, that's a new one.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. It's surreal. I mean, when the Snowden revelations came out, we all kind of knew that was already happening. But then just to have the proof right out there, and the government to just be like, yeah, well, what are you going to do about it? And for everybody to be like, okay.
Oh yeah.
I'll tell you one thing, because the thing is you need these to survive. Right? I mean,
amazing.
You need it, right? And the technology
I survived without
them,
but now I can't.
Exactly. And everything's set up that way. I actually bought my first one of these because I just wanted to hang on to like my old like cell phone, the old flip phones, that looked like Star Trek communicators.
Yeah.
I tried to hang on to that for the longest time, and then once I started doing conventions, I was like, oh crap, I need to have one of these. For conducting business and networking and blah, blah, blah.
They need to make something you plug into the microphone port that's just like, it's playing nothing but a loop of Chinese singing. So that when you want to talk on your phone or ask your phone a question, you unplug it and then it can hear you. And then you
That's
plug it back in, and you're just
well.
it's sort of
Nerds will always find a way. That's the
Yeah.
thing. Is nerds will always find a way. We were talking before about Rubik's cubes. There are people that will look at things like this and be like, "Oh, a challenge."
I know how to mess with this.
Right, or this is going to be fun trying to figure this out. You know, the way like you or I might get frustrated over a Rubik's cube or any kind of a puzzle box. There are other people that get lost in it. Like you know, like that's their zone, that's their sweet spot. And yeah, there are always going to be geeks that are going to figure this shit out. What has me really tripping is what is the name of this device from Amazon that people have in their houses, like Lexi or something like that? Like,
Lexi,
hey,
Alexis, yes.
Yeah. That, like, really? You're going to bring that thing into your freaking house? That's just
Let it listen to you all the time. Yeah. Yes, we had Ethan Van Sciver on the show tonight. He's promoting Six Gun Gorilla.
Hey, he endorses it. He is a very big fan. So is Cecil. So is the writer Joe Lansdale. I'm just
cool.
Mandy, also a very big fan. You know,
we got to get all the monkeys together.
Grateful.
We got to get all the monkeys together, and we got to get all the cowboys together. Different books, but you'll be in both. You know.
Well, here's the thing. Somebody pointed out the other day that I launched the first CG Western, and I was like, yeah, I kind of did. That's sort of cool, and it's great seeing these other Westerns coming in, because of course, you know, classically in the comic book industry, at least relatively recently, it's like their attitude is Westerns aren't selling, so then they don't make Westerns, and then guess what? Westerns aren't selling.
Yeah, you don't sell what you don't make.
Exactly. And you know, there's some people that aren't fond of the genre, and that's okay. There are genres that I'm not fond of. Sitcoms. Oh my god. If you want to torture me, I'm offended by sitcoms. I really am, because they insult my intelligence.
There's a show coming on AMC, and I saw the trailers for it on Twitter. You might have seen it scrolling by too, because it was one of these big promoted ones here, called Kevin Can F Himself.
I don't think I saw that. I think I would have remembered if I'd seen that.
Yeah, but it's got this really cool. It's not going to last because it's got too cool of a premise, but I don't think they can carry it for that long.
Okay.
It's this sitcom. I mean, it's lit like a sitcom. It's staged like a sitcom, and it's the mom. The mom's taking like all the abuse in it. You know, the accidents, the pratfalls, he's Kevin's a goofball. Oh, Kevin made another mess, and he does this one thing, and she just smacks something on the table. And the moment she smacks it on the table, the lighting changes, the camera angle changes, and now it's lit more like a drama. And it's like she's a sitcom mom who's lost her shit, and she's had enough. And
that's a great idea.
Yeah, it's more like Ozark at that moment, the way it's filmed.
Right. It sounds like a David Lynch movie, or like a meta sitcom. Right, where it's although that would be a sitcom about sitcoms, this sounds more like a drama about sitcoms and the way they give us this false sense of what reality is supposed to be like.
Yeah.
As a kid, I really, really hated sitcoms because I always felt that they were dishonest, that they were lying to me.
Everything can be solved in 30 minutes.
Everything can be solved in 30 minutes, and this is what life in suburbia is like. And my life looked more like a horror movie. And so when I discovered horror movies and monster movies, which was at a very early age, it clicked. I was like, okay, that's not the literal truth, but it's the spiritual truth.
Yes.
Do you know what I'm saying?
It's absolutely. I want to talk about that. I need to address the chat here just a little bit, because we have our third member. Third YouTube member. Thank you, Stupendous 989. We just got monetized.
Hell yeah.
Membership was a thing. I send everybody a sticker and a keychain if they become a member. And I only put the 99-cent member up there because I'm like, what do I got to offer? I don't have like cards or anything. I'm a talker. Mr. Yanifui says that the voice is not working right on your microphone. You need to prepare more to sound like EVS.
Is that directed towards you or me?
I don't know. Well, I've got the beard, but I don't know. He knows who I am. So
well, I'm like, people always say that that I'm like his twin, and then I'm trying to figure out, well, which one of us is the evil twin and which one is the good twin.
Oh, he's definitely the evil twin.
I think he's the evil one too.
He's the evil twin. Maidenhell's throwing hearts at you. We love you too, Maidenhell.
What up?
And but he does come back and say, by the way, Brian, your art is awesome. So
thank you. Yeah, I drew all of Six Gun Gorilla, and that's all my art. And no, I'm a lying sack of shit. I'll take credit for other people's work, though. Here's the deal. Any comic book writer that's being honest with you will tell you the reason that we write comic books is because we can't draw them.
I can't draw them either.
Yeah, and at a certain point, you're like, look, when I was a kid, I got a copy of John Buscema's How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way. Very good instruction manual. You start everything out starts out as circles, and then you break it down. And I think that artists have to work really hard and really bust their asses. Make no mistake. To become great artists, they have to put in the work. There's no question about that. But I also think that you have to have a little bit of natural talent.
Yeah, I've had too many tell me that it's not talent, it's skill. You can be taught to do this. I'm like, no,
not me.
I've seen the book. I've seen the whole. It's like draw the oval, now bisect it, put the eye line on here. Now kind of form this out, and it's like step 1 is the oval, step 2 is the crosshatch, step 3 is like. A Raymond Chandler. He's like finished. No, not Raymond Chandler. Who's Alex Raymond. Alex Raymond. Yeah.
Right.
It just goes from circle to Alex Raymond or George Perez. Like, you skipped like 80 steps or something.
I know. Exactly. You have to have a little natural talent. Like, for instance, Preston Acevedo, who's a good friend of mine and is the current artist on Six Gun Gorilla, starting with issue 8, and he's going to be doing the last 2 issues too, 9 and 10. He was doing a campaign for a trade paperback of Rockabilly Road Trip. And he was kind of like cringing when he released it because it was like all old work. But it's fascinating when you go through it because it's like you could see the evolution of an artist because these were drawn over the space of years. And even like his really bad rough stuff, it's still charming. And you just gradually watch him becoming Preston. Yeah, it's the same way when Frank Miller took over on Daredevil. It's not that his work was bad. It sort of looked a lot like everybody else's. The Marvel House style.
Yeah. And
over the course of the series, you see Frank Miller becoming Frank Miller.
Starts to break out.
Yeah, exactly.
Unfortunately, if we'd known that he was going to become Frank Miller of the Dark Knight Master Race, we would have like stopped it in its infancy. Right.
Oh God. Well, look, I think the guy has a brain tumor. Quite frankly, it's like one of those, or like All-Star Batman and Robin. I didn't get that even a little.
That was just like, yeah, I know. That was just like, let's just go batshit crazy with Batman and Robin. I mean,
but not even in a cool, fun way, because the Dark Knight Returns was batshit crazy, but it was awesome.
Yeah, but this was like the younger one. The one scene that stuck out to me though, that I guess I thought it was cool, and again, it was like he went like way over the line with this. Was the scene where Green Lantern walks into the room where Batman and Robin are, and they painted themselves gold and everything else in the room gold because this was the Silver Age Green Lantern whose ring didn't work against yellow.
Yeah.
And Robin has pickpocketed the ring from his finger when he wasn't looking.
Oh God!
I was like, geez, this is like really, really strange stuff. El Crudo's in the chat. The other guy who's got a monkey with a gun.
What up, El Crudo?
Yes, this is where the apes are hanging out. We're not monkeys. None of us are monkeys. We have no tails. If there's a tail, then it's a monkey, not an ape.
Yeah, exactly. Apes are not monkeys, and they get very upset if you call them monkeys.
Yes. Hail to Francisco.
What up, Francisco?
Arche. Or Arch. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it. I don't want to say Arse because that's like
Arche. I'm guessing that's.
I'll go with that. Francisco Arche. This is an interesting video tonight too, Brian. For another reason, we usually simulcast. We are trimulcasting tonight. So
nice.
we are on our YouTube channel. We are on our Facebook channel, which is facebook.com/Critical Blast, and we are broadcasting to Pops Van Zant's comic-related madness. This is our first time splitting things over there, so maybe we're getting some viewers from there too. That would be very cool.
Heck yeah! The more the merrier, and
exactly.
the wider your reach, the better.
Yeah. So Ethan should be scared of Mr. Yanafui right now. He's imagining that a crazy fan kills EVS, and then Brian steps in and replaces him so that CG doesn't die. Start drawing. Possibly it will happen.
So it'd be like Kagamusha, like the old Kurosawa movie where like the king dies and they find like a guy that looks just like him to replace him. Exactly
like that. That would be, or like Dave.
That was like a American comedy, like sort of revision of that, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now there was a thing we were talking about sitcoms, and I started pay obeisance to the chat, which is important.
Absolutely, hail the chat.
But there's a story, and I don't know if it's apocryphal or not, but I read it somewhere that I believed it at the time to be true, and it was the Bob Newhart show when he was acting with Suzanne Plachette, his original series.
Yeah,
and the writers had come up with the next season's overarching plot, which was going to be that Suzanne was going to her character was going to be pregnant, and that was going to make Bob a father. And the story was that Bob came in and read the script, and they're like watching him, and he was like, "This is good. I like this. Yeah, this is very funny stuff." And he hands it back and says, "Who are you going to get to play Bob?" because Bob Newhart did not want to be. He didn't want to be a buffoon dad, and every sitcom, the dad was a buffoon.
Of course.
And he's like, I don't want to be the butt of the joke. I want to be, the guy who's like living in crazy land and doesn't understand why everybody else is crazy.
I know somebody that saw him live and wasn't expecting much and said he was like astoundingly hilarious.
Oh, he is.
And the same person had also seen Bill Cosby and said he was just absolutely awful, that he was like drunk. Visibly drunk.
Jeez. He started with the pills instead of ending the night with them.
Exactly. That would seem to be the case.
Yeah, when I was in grade school, junior high level, they used to have these speech contest competitions, and I would do. I had been selected to do comedy monologues, and 2 years in a row, the comedy monologue I would pick would have been one of Bob Newhart's phone calls. Monologues. Yes, the phone calls were great.
Genius. Really funny stuff. Like it sounds like really dry, but people go and like do like a YouTube search because there's got to be some of that stuff on YouTube.
Got to be
hilarious.
I did the one with the phone call with Sir Walter Riley, calling back to England. He's like, "You're doing what now, Walt? You're drying out leaves. You roll them up." And you stick them in your mouth. Okay. Wait, and then you what? You set fire to him, do you, Walt?
As a matter of fact, I think this is totally apocryphal and off the subject, but I think he got arrested because he was like the guy who first brought tobacco to like the Western world, right? To England. Yeah, and I think he got arrested on the street because people saw smoke coming out of his nostrils, and they were just like, "Oh." Clearly possessed by demons.
Absolutely.
Come with us, sir.
Gotta be. Greg Levitre, hey.
Oh, what up, Greg?
And Oliver from 656.
Ollie from 656.
Oh. Watch out for La Llorona.
Oh my goodness.
La Llorona.
I was on a stream the other night with him and the other Los Vatos Locos from 656, and my goodness, man, those guys are absolutely incredible. I hadn't backed Undead Border, and Preston was like, "Dude, you got to read this."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Well, I didn't back it." He's like, I've got 2 copies. I'll send you one, right?" And so he mails that to me, and I read it, and I was just really, 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 really impressed with it. And Cryptidnals, of course, looks absolutely astounding. I back that too. Can't wait for it. And Ollie is doing absolutely beautiful, lovely colors for Six Gun Gorilla Cemetery Without Crosses.
It's one big happy all across the board here. One big happy family. And speaking of Six Gun Gorilla, I should probably share the screen for that. I mean, I do have it pulled up here.
If you feel like it.
It was kind of the point that we were going to talk about how this is last night, but.
Yeah. But I mean, chill streams can be boring too. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I mean, you want to make sure that people, you're not just constantly hitting them. Buy. Yeah. But we can have a conversation and periodically be like, "Hey, check this out. You want to go? You might want. You just snooze, you lose. You might want to get this.
You want to get this just if for no other reason. You want this for the Iron Maiden cover.
Yes. Preston's parody cover of the single for Iron Maiden's "Stranger in a Strange Land." Yes, and that's an interesting story, because when it comes to my cover artists, I always, I'm like, okay, well, here are some ideas that I have for covers, and sometimes they'll use them, and sometimes they'll want to do their own thing. And he wanted to do this bad because somebody who shall not be named is a very, very prominent comic skater, told him straight up, like, yeah, you're not talented enough to do that.
Oh, yeah, okay, that's exactly the kind of inspiration an artist needs to.
Yeah. So he bounced that off me. I'm just like, how am I going to say no to that, right? And you want to let the artist do them. You know what I mean? You want to let them do what they're going to have fun doing. I did freak out a little bit when I saw this, though, because I thought he was going to redo the cover, but everything was going to be set in the Old West. Right, so it would be like this Star Wars cantina kind of a thing, but with like humans in all the same positions, and instead he did this, which was way more literal, which is stunning, which is beautiful, fantastic.
But it's got robots and aliens and.
Yeah, and I was thinking like, oh shit, people are gonna think that this is like a sci-fi book, and then he was like, "Dude, calm your ass down. Don't worry. I'll do another one. It's like your way." But people love this. I mean, how could they not? We're going to offer this as a poster.
Yeah,
it's gonna be. Because as I keep telling people, this is a living campaign, which is to say, I started out really, really slow. I had some like really rough life stuff happen to me late last year and early this year. Lost some people, but I figured let's open sort of quiet, but this is going to be a long haul thing. And people who, if you click the follow button, if you click or if you're a backer, there's this cool thing we've been doing where Preston is streaming himself illustrating the book.
Nice.
So if you're wondering, where's my damn monkey book? You're going to be able to, I'm going to send you a link.
Where's my book?
Yeah. It's even like, where is it, damn it? But you're going to be able to click on a link, and you're going to actually be looking over, with a camera on the page, watching him make it.
Yeah, I'm getting that poster. That poster is going to go on the wall next to my El Crudo poster.
Oh hell yeah!
Which is a Frank Frazetta send off of what they. And by the way, El Crudo, I've read the 4 books. I've got to sit down and still do a review on them. I owe you a review for those books because it's fun. It's Vietnam, which isn't my typical genre to read in, Vietnam war stories. But just like the Western is making a comeback, so are those.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's the thing. There's certain genres I'm not especially a fan of. Like, I don't like spy novels. But then, you have a certain artist that comes along and does one, like Trevanian does the Iger Sanction, the Lou Sanction. It's just like, this is awesome.
They did the Iger Sanction?
Well, there's a movie of the Iger Sanction.
But
it's based on a novel, right?
Oh, yeah, by
Trevanian, who was a nom de plume, a pseudonym that he used. Who I believe he was a film teacher, like a film history a professor at a university in Texas or something like that. But he was also a best-selling novelist, but that was just like on the side, and he had no interest in being famous whatsoever. So he he would sometimes go to like these big publishing parties and have his friend pretend to be him and just like sit back and just like watch the interaction, right? But back to my point. So many of us, we don't so much follow genres as we follow artists or writers, right? So if you have, just because I hate sitcoms doesn't mean that one can't be done well.
Sure.
Right? Or chick flicks.
We haven't done any romance comics in CG. Where are the romance comics at?
Well, I always say that one of the biggest mistakes the American comic book industry made was that it completely threw away its female reader base.
Yeah.
Or at least stopped making comics for them, which is why manga is one of many reasons why manga right now is outselling. One manga is outselling everything,
the entire industry,
DC and Marvel combined, right?
Yeah.
Because the fan base for anime and manga is maybe 55% female at least, right?
Yeah, I'd say so.
As for the romance and that sort of a thing, well, you had soap opera stuff that was going on in X-Men.
Yes.
Right? And and if anything, I always wanted more of that stuff. And not that you don't want the kick-ass action sequences, but it's just like, when are we going to find out who Nightcrawler's mom is? Right? Is it Mystique? Right? Because she dropped this hint, and then it's like years later, that maybe you find out.
But I liked the fact that they dragged it out for years, and sometimes I didn't want to know. I didn't want to know Logan's backstory. Logan, who sometimes falls into a berserker rage. I'm like, if you find out within 6 issues, it's a hook that leads somewhere. By the 7th issue, no, don't ever tell me now, because now it's the character definition.
Yes. And that leads to a very, very difficult situation for a comic book writer, because on the one hand, it's like you don't want to tell that story, and on the other hand, somebody's going to tell it, and it's just sitting there waiting. Yeah. For instance, Batman never should find the guy who murdered his parents, right? Never should.
Found him long time ago.
Yeah, no, I know. But I always thought he should, because the whole point is that when he's going out every night, part of him is looking for that guy. And what happens when he finds him? But then as a writer, okay, what an interesting story. What happens if he finds this guy? Right? Because he's going to want to kill him.
Yeah.
And Batman doesn't kill.
Now?
What was that?
And what do you do afterwards? I mean, your whole reason for going out is you've got closure.
Exactly. So then that's tempting too, right? And with the Logan backstory, I just thought it could have been done better. I didn't like. I just really did. The bone claws and all that stuff, and I don't know. I just wasn't crazy about it.
That's stuff you learn when the character dies. And I'm like, first of all, those bone claws, those were big round bone claws, and we've been for years dealing with thin razor blades that not only were super thin, but we had the Marvel Handbook of the Marvel Universe that showed how they were screwed in.
Right.
They were
And
mechanical.
well, I mean, different artists drew the claws in different ways. John Byrne, you could say what you like about him as a person, one of the absolute masters of the medium. And one of the greatest runs ever, of course, was him and Terry Austin and Chris Claremont on X-Men. Classic, right? He would draw Wolverine's claws so that they looked sort of like claws. They looked sort of rounded, and they kind of came out like a hook angle. And then you had Mike Zeck, who had these like giant claws that were like way bigger than anything his forearm could hold.
Yeah, they can come up to here, but I got to walk like this.
Yeah. And all that's fine because fantasy art isn't meant to be an accurate representation of reality. And so when you see different artists doing different characters, you do kind of want to see like what their take on that character is going to be.
Yeah. Now, I did like when the metal was gone and it was literally bone that was coming out. He was going through that rough period in his life, and Kitty Pryde was with him, and he like screams out in pain when the claws come out. She's like, Did it always hurt? And he's like, yeah, but I healed really fast.
Right, exactly. It's right. He's screaming in pain because he's just like, fuck, this is gonna take weeks.
Yeah, it hurts. It always hurt when it came out. It's just I was fine. I got used to it.
Because it's gonna heal up. Yeah. It's just like, ow, that hurt. Okay, well, it's gonna be all healed. You're not thinking about the long-term consequences.
Yeah.
It's the it's yeah. I mean, there are some characters where you do want them to remain mysterious, and you don't necessarily want to know their full origin stories. I think one of the problems we have with so many of the superhero films is that they all start out. The first movie is always the origin story.
Yep.
And I always feel like, or something like Conan the Barbarian. Like the last Conan movie was horrible, right? The first one's great, but it also is like an origin story where Conan is specifically a character where basically in each story, you're just, boom, you're dropped into the adventure. Right?
Yeah, that's all you need.
That's all you need, right? And, he's climbing a tower, or he's like nailed to a cross at the beginning of one of the stories. How's he going to get out of this one? I thought the first Iron Man movie did the origin story the best because it got it out of the way in the first 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Right? Rather than the whole film being the origin story.
Him building the equipment, testing the equipment. And they made it fun.
Yes. The ghetto Iron Man armor, that was awesome. Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, I still think that's probably the best of the Marvel movies. That and Winter Soldier and Civil War is just like a whole bunch of fun.
Oh yeah. So well, if they could have kept the lid on Spider-Man being in Civil War until they released the movie, that would have just made audiences scream in the theaters when that happened.
Yeah, and also, I wish that they'd been had the courage to do a full heel turn for Tony Stark, because that's what made the comic so exciting.
Yeah.
Right? Was these characters that you loved, him and Reed Richards. Like, oh no, Reed, what are you doing? You're building a gulag in the negative zone. What are you doing, bro? But then of course, but still, it's like I look at that movie. Is it the Civil War movie I wanted? Not even close. Is it a whole bunch of fun? Absolutely. And really, if you're not having fun watching a superhero movie or a fantasy or an adventure, you're doing something wrong. Yeah. And that's all I've tried to do with this book is tell a kick-ass pulp adventure story. It does have some deeper meaning, but not to the point of being ever pretentious or I don't know, waterlogged like Ang Lee's Hulk movie, right?
Oh, God.
where he took the character seriously, but he took it so seriously that the fun was gone.
Yeah,
and it just became ponderous.
it was. I interviewed Peter David around the time that movie came out for a long defunct publication. I was working for somebody else.
Yeah,
and I asked him his opinion on it, and you could tell he was very cautious in his statement. But what he said was I thought it was a very good Ang Lee movie.
Right. Right. And I wouldn't even say that. I wouldn't even be that kind because it just drags in places. But yeah, for those of you that don't know, Peter David had this long legendary run on the Incredible Hulk. So that's why his opinion really, was relevant at that time for sure.
Yeah, and he was still writing it at the time, I believe.
Oh, really? Okay.
I want to say he was.
Well, he's the one who came up with the whole aspect of the Hulk being like the wounded child inside of Bruce Banner, who had been abused by his father.
And he had actually also introduced the idea that way before the Gamma explosion, Hulk was in him. He showed him, getting angry in college and just, but still being puny Banner, just raging and having this out of control personality. It was a personality disorder. The Gamma thing just gave it a shape changing capability to take form.
Yeah. And then there's the one thing that always bugs me about every single Hulk movie or every movie with the Hulk. I've never seen the side of the character that makes me love him so much, and that's sad Hulk. Yeah. Right? Like there was the Immortal Hulk series, which is relatively recent, which was awesome, which kind of reimagined the Hulk as a horror comic and really made the character like this really sinister, vicious agent of justice. But even in that, there was a moment, and it was placed perfectly, where Hulk was just like, why Hulk always have to hurt all the time? And I was like, that's what I'm talking about. Because to me, when I was growing up, the Hulk was always such a sad character.
Yeah. Humans won't leave Hulk alone. Hulk just want left alone.
Yeah, and then he would go to like the desert, and then he'd get lonely, and then he'd go back. And because he's still even if you might not, you might consider him, even if you don't consider him human, he has that human desire for socialization, for the company of others. We're tribal animals, right? We're not meant. If we're alone, we go insane. That's why solitary confinement is such a severe punishment. And then he would he'd be like, leave Hulk alone. And then he'd go to the desert or the forest or something. And they'd be like, Hulk's lonely. And then he would go back to civilization. And the whole cycle would just repeat itself over and over and over again. And he was always just so, more than anything, misunderstood.
I always wanted to see if, do you remember Hulk would sometimes be shrunk down to the subatomic size. Because he had his girlfriend Jarella, who was green, just like him, but she lived in that, How do you find a microcosmos the second time around? Because it's like these atoms are like just flying all over the world. You can't just, but it's comics, so you can. But I always want to know if he's that small, it is like, let's say he's an atom in this table I'm sitting at here, and he gets into a fight on this subatomic world. Does my table get a crack in it when
I would think if it's the Hulk and he's pissed off,
exactly,
without a doubt.
I would love to see that happening.
Oh yeah, that would be great. Work him into like one of the Ant-Man movies or something.
oh my God, yes. That I just rewatched that recently again, and that whole Thomas the Tank Engine scene kills me every time I watch it.
Yeah, it's really funny. Yeah, that's an okay movie. I thought a missed opportunity in many respects. I was hoping for something more cerebral, like the Incredible Shrinking Man. Not exactly that, but you know what I'm saying. Something that would kind of, explore the idea a little bit more. But it was also, it was definitely a moment of triumph for Stan Lee, because that was the project that he was always trying to sell. It wasn't Spider-Man. It wasn't the Hulk. It wasn't any Captain America, any of that stuff. When he was talking to people like Federico Fellini, he was very interested in working with them, or any other number of people that were interested in working with him. He was always like, Ant-Man. That's the franchise.
Well, Ant-Man was. I think I'd like to see more of the Michael Douglas era of Ant-Man.
Well, Hank Pym,
Yeah.
I think we were all annoyed when Ultron's created by Tony Stark. No, he was created by Hank Pym. God damn it.
Yeah.
But then you let that stuff slide, or in my case, I just didn't like that movie. That whole movie, I think, is shit. But that's me.
Well, if you let him get created by Hank Pym, then you open the door to the whole, the court martial story, that classic story where it's like he's rebuilding Ultron with a weakness to prove to the team that he's got what it takes to take down a major hitter. He's like, he's got to be able to beat all the Avengers, but yet I can save them.
Except me.
Yeah, and then he gets knocked out, and Wasp is the one who does it.
Right.
And then he punches her in the face, and she takes off her glasses at Avengers meeting, and Thor is like, you don't want Thor angry at you.
No, definitely don't be smacking your woman around when he's in the room. That's for damn sure.
That's a Viking tradition.
Yeah. Well, that's just a man tradition right there.
Yeah, but that was like, for its time, even it was even more daring than
anything they're doing now.
Oh well, yeah, anything is. If you did it now, it'd be like, oh my, we have to have a conversation about.
Domestic violence. Yeah. And or of course, Demon in a Glass Bottle, that Iron Man arc,
yes.
which I thought eventually they would get to in the Iron Man movies, because the groundwork had been laid for it, right?
Yeah.
You're kind of like, boy, he seems to drink a lot, right? And but then of course, once Disney bought Marvel, you knew you weren't going to see drunk Tony Stark flying around all loaded in the Iron Man armor. That wasn't going to happen.
Well, yeah, because if that happens, then that leads into the whole the redemption arc, and the encounter he has with Carol Danvers, who becomes an alcoholic, and there was this scene where it's like she's having a drink, and he's asking her something about it. She's getting all defensive. He's like, I wasn't asking you why you were having a drink. I was asking you why you were getting defensive about it. That's the problem.
Right.
That's when we know something's going on.
Yeah. And you may have a problem. Let me, I've been through this. Let me help you out.
Yeah. And that's the issue where there was like something going on the moon, and they left her there. Tony's like, no, you're staying here. You're drunk. And she gets so drunk that she says, well, screw this. I can go up there. And she flies straight up. She's trying to fly to the moon on her own power. And she gets pretty high up and then runs out of oxygen and just falls back to Earth. And it was just this devastating thing. It was like, oh, you're not like Ms. Marvel yet. You're still just Warbird. I don't know. She's had so many power levels, upgrades and downgrades.
I know, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And then of course for the movie, they had to make her the bestest ever. They had to make her the strongest in the Marvel universe. I'm the strongest hero in the Marvel universe. You even heard Brie Larson say it.
Yeah, you did. It's in the name. I'm Marvel. I so hope, and I know I'm not the only person that has their fingers and their toes crossed that they're going to get rid of her in the next movie. That maybe Rogue will show up. Oh, that would be sweet.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
Yes. Here, I'm going to take care of these powers for you now. They're
exactly.
mine.
And get Brie Larson out the door, because it's like evidently nobody likes working with her. Gee, I can't imagine why. She seems to have such a sparkling personality.
Yeah, she's such a pleasant person.
And that charisma. that just crackles off the screen.
Oh man.
Yeah, she's a charisma vacuum. It's like, what were they thinking? Or with the Shang-Chi movie, I'm like, do it for $20 million. Make it basically like like the comic book, a Bruce Lee movie, right? Because it was like the Bruce Lee comic, basically. Let's face it.
Yeah, it was.
And shoot it for $20 million. Get Iko Uwais or Tony Jaa or like any actual martial arts actor and put them in that. Get the stunt crews from Indonesia. We did the Raid, or Thailand. We did all the Tony Jaa movies, and make just like an awesome ass-kicking, fun kung fu movie. But I didn't recognize any of the cast, and evidently they're all from a TV show called Crazy Rich Asians. And so, like, that's what they do. They're just like, okay, well, we need Asian people. So where are their Asian people? Oh, Crazy Rich Asians. That's really popular right now. Okay, let's just take that cast.
I took a photo yesterday. I sent it directly to Twitter. There was a Shang-Chi action figure.
Yes. $9, dude.
$9 clearance aisle. And I didn't take the wider shot because it would have shown the real sad violin part of it. It was, serious to God, hanging up next to a the Last Jedi Rey Skywalker action figure.
Oh, dude, how did you miss that golden opportunity?
Well, I was trying to zoom in. I was trying to make sure I got that $9 sticker on there.
Oh man, total non-suck. Yeah, go ahead.
It's like the movie's not even out yet. He's in clearance.
It hasn't even bombed yet. At least when I went to Toys R Us and saw a mountain of like John Travolta Battlefield Earth figures,
yes,
for $1, I was like, the movie at least had come out, right? And they were just like, what are we going to do with all these? And actually, you know what? I don't even think they were $1. I think they were even less than that.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And so, oh dude, I filled up a shopping cart with those things.
Sure. What can you not do with a John Travolta action figure? Come on.
Yeah, well, I mean, what I did was the next day I got one for myself, and the next day I went to work and I dropped by like the cubicles of all my friends, and it was just like, here you go, one for you, one for you. And it's like, what am I supposed to do with this? I'm like, I don't know. It was $1. Use it as a paperweight. Throw it out the window for all I care.
See, I used to look for the generic looking characters. And when I say generic looking, I mean like they didn't have a bunch of molded on pieces and stuff. Because I was big in the time in making these bash kits.
Those are cool.
My wife would walk. I don't have them on my shelf here anymore. They're in a box here somewhere. I've got the entire Starman line homemade.
No shit.
From the Golden Age Starman all the way through to Jack Knight with the black jacket and the design.
Right. Yeah.
But I would look for these things. I'm like, I could take that, and I could, and my wife would walk into the kitchen. I'd be standing at the stove, pot of boiling water. She'd like, what are you doing? She'd come around, and I'd be holding the feet of some action figure with his head in the boiling water. I'm like, it makes it easy for the heads to pop off. She's like, you're boiling heads. I'm out of here. But it does actually. It works really well.
All right. The most hardcore thing I have ever seen from a figurine, from a action figure modder, and it's not my bag, but it's one of those things you see people doing it and you love it, right? If you're a fan, this cat made a Halloween Michael Myers The Shape figure, right?
Okay.
All right. What does he do for the mask? He takes a Mego Captain Kirk action figure. Now, for those of you that don't know, the mask that's worn by Michael Myers in the Halloween movies is a William Shatner Captain Kirk mask that had just been spray painted white, right?
Yeah.
And this cat just like made a mold of the Captain Kirk action figure's face and made the mask out of that.
That's
Next level, yo. Next
It's
level.
not just any mask; it literally is the Captain Kirk mask.
Yes. Yeah. I was like, okay, that dude needs. It is either frightening and needs to stay away from me, or like deserves like some kind of like major accolades.
Yeah, Made in Hell. We were all like, you know that you know
We
what they
all
couldn't do
were.
with, but you know why they can't do it? They cannot do Shang-Chi as a movie properly. Period, because the copyright gods stand in their way. Who was the big bad in Shang-Chi Fists of Kung Fu, the original series? Who was the big bad?
Fu Manchu, Dr. Fu Manchu,
Yes, they
who's
can't do
who
it.
was created by. Oh, I'm trying to remember the name of the writer. But yeah, I mean, they couldn't use him also because he's perceived as like a racist caricature, which he kind of is. Let's face it, I could understand some people are sensitive about, the old yellow menace
Yeah,
stuff that you used to see in comic books. Look
Sax
at the
Rohmer.
old, yeah, you look at like the old World War II movies, right? And you see the Japanese pilots and they're like, oh,
Yeah,
like it's like right. It's just like even if you're totally non-PC, you look at that stuff and you kind of cringe, right? Because it's like, okay, yeah, that is pretty cringe.
oh yeah.
That's
I've
pretty
got a
bad.
serial of Batman and Robin on DVD, and he's like, "Be on your toes, Robin. There are Japs all over." Like,
Yeah, exactly. Like SJWs have no sense of context. They have no sense of history, and therefore, of course, they have no sense of historical context. Like you look at some of the old westerns, and you see how Native Americans are portrayed, and they're like white actors in red face, and they're like, how? Ugh. Right? And I
yes,
can understand that being a little cringe too, but then you look at a movie like The Searchers, and people were complaining that, like, oh, but the hero, John Wayne's character is racist. Yeah, he is. It doesn't mean it's a racist movie. His racism towards the Indians is presented as a problem, right?
exactly.
It's a problem for him and obviously for others. And you look at something like Broken Arrow, which is one of my favorite old Jimmy Stewart westerns, and it's about the friendship between Cochise and Tom Jeffords. And of course, Cochise is like, how, ugh, and all that stuff. But then you look at that story, and it's far from being racist, and it has a message of peace. So it's like they don't grade on a curve. Do you know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yeah, and they're literalists. They have no
Very literal minded.
no grasp of metaphor.
No, none whatsoever. And somebody being really racist in the 1920s is the exact same thing as somebody being really racist right now.
Yeah, yeah,
Right?
even more so.
Right? Yeah, H.P. Lovecraft, huge Lovecraft fan. Yeah, he said some pretty vile shit, especially in his letters, right? But I don't think his opinions or attitude were really that different from anybody else that was living in his neighborhood in the 1920s.
Yeah, he just wrote his down.
He just wrote his down, and then like, oh well, you're making excuses. I'm like, no, I'm making explanations.
Exactly. All I know is that right now I need to see a pinup of Six Gun Gorilla and Rooster Cogburn back to back, blowing the smoke off their guns.
Oh, that would be sweet. That would be sweet. We want to do a fan art contest for sure.
Okay, well, somebody's got to be able to do a good John Wayne and just stand him next up to Six Gun Gorilla. They've shot everybody down.
Bucked everybody down.
Yes, yes. The gorilla who shot Liberty Valance.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, that'd be a great scene. Oh, I see that one in my head. I see Jimmy Stewart in the street holding the gun, and Six Gun Gorilla in the barn going like this.
Yep. With Woody Strode and John Wayne just kind of like standing standing by.
Yes. Oh man.
Oh my God, that would be classic.
Only
classic Western fans would get that, but yeah.
You could do entire classic Western scenes and just replace the character with Six Gun Gorilla and still draw the others to look like the actors. Have him step out with with a Mexican sarape or whatever it is wrapped around him, with a obviously holding a pot-bellied stove plate in front of him.
Right. Yeah, man.
The gorilla with no name.
Yep. And there are so many westerns that I love. Obviously, I love the old John Ford movies, the old Howard Hawks movies. Those have a special place in my heart. But what made me really fall in love with the western as a genre were the Italian westerns, were the Leone movies. As a kid, I mean, they're just perfect. There's no girls, there's no smoochy romance stuff, when you're at that age where girls are icky. Yep. And they're just these wonderful adventures with these very larger than life characters.
They're just dirty, gritty cowboys riding in the desert and shooting each other. What more do you need? That's
in very stylish ways, because then of course Leone was just such a genius, and anybody that's ever interested in exploring Italian westerns, I'm like, first thing you do is watch everything by Leone.
Yeah.
Right? And get it out of the way. And be aware that although there are lots of other really great Italian westerns, they're not going to be as good as those. So just prepare yourself for that.
I'm trying to find out where the stretch goals were here, and I scrolled down to the critics are going ape, and I didn't even know Ain't It Cool News was still a thing.
Oh, this is from years ago. Are they still around?
I don't know.
I don't know either. So yeah, it's an old quote, but that quote opened a lot of doors for me. Yeah. I ended up getting, because a lot of people didn't want to, had no interest in reviewing the book, and saying like it's gotten this praise from this outlet is what opened a lot of doors. CBR, Comic Book Resources, they had no interest in reviewing my book, and so I sent all these quotes, and then they were like, okay, now we'll take a look at it. And I got the only tepid review, or tepid, however you pronounce it. I got the only tepid review that I've ever gotten from this book, because I've never gotten a bad review. I've gotten like pretty much nothing but great reviews, and that's not me boasting. That's me being really, really grateful. But the guy who reviewed it, his review was basically, it's not that great. Not that it was bad, but that it didn't quite live up to the hype.
It's no Citizen Kane.
Right, exactly. And I was just like, so the guy they wouldn't even look at the comic unless I presented all of these like rave reviews, and then they review it and like, it's okay. It's all right.
I'll read an okay comic. Here's my biggest issue though, is that we have $3,100 left to go to get 3D prints.
Yep. Got the model here from the infamous Blue Muppet, George Peter Gatsis, who very, very kindly put this thing together. Now, mind you, I can't really show you the model in all its glory because I had it held together with poster tack. And
okay. Maybe we won't look at it.
Well, here's the thing. I'm preparing to manufacture these. I've been watching a lot of different tutorials and stuff because I've never done anything like this before.
Yeah.
And when I talk to people at conventions, they always said, okay, well, what do you want? They always said a trade paperback and like a action figure or a figurine. So this gives you an idea of what it's gonna look like.
George
you've got the picture.
Yeah,
he's a genius. I'm just amazed at how that guy's mind works.
Yeah, right? I would think here's a rotation scan, and you just print a statue. No, he's printing the parts, and he's figuring out the mechanics of how they're going to interrelate and interlock.
Yes,
he's putting magnets in things. He's putting magnets in things so that things should like pop on.
Yeah,
and then you can like lift it off easily. And
Yeah, he's incredible. He's incredible.
I can't wait to get my spaceship.
Oh, I still have to back that. Ah, crap.
You better hurry up.
I know. And it feels bad, especially when it's like somebody that's a friend that's done me a solid, and I haven't like backed their latest campaign. But I'm always I'm a victim of that follow button sometimes, which is to say you click on the follow button and then you get the updates as if you've backed it.
Yes.
And then sometimes I think I've backed a book, and then I check, and then it turns out that I didn't. So watch out for that. Watch out for that.
Well, I'm watching for him because we're distributing his book. So.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Oh, dude, I can't wait to see how that takes off. I think what you're doing could be potentially a major game changer.
It's going to be fun.
It's because, let's face it, that's one of the biggest problems that we as a scene need to overcome is none of us like charging people $25, $28 for shipping.
Yeah.
Right? And especially if it's for a $15 book.
Right.
Right? We hate that. And, my goodness, if we can overcome, I think the big things we need to overcome is that. And then also we need to start translating our books. We need to start translating our books into French, Spanish, and Japanese.
Yeah.
And
I'm not going to do that one. It's going to be somebody else. But we have offered editing services because I've seen too many people, publish with easy editing corrections. I'm like, you know what? For $25, hell, for a copy of your book when it's done, I will go through this thing and I will find the error correct. I mean, I don't know if I told you this before. I've told other people this before. I got a hardcover book from Scholastic once.
Okay.
As an advanced review. And it was a graphic novel. And I'm like reading it. And it's a great graphic novel. I love the artist and writer who's behind the creation of this thing. He's one. In fact, he's better than Alan Moore at taking advantage of the medium to tell stories.
That's high praise.
Jimmy Gownley. Jimmy Gownley is genius. Unappreciated genius.
I've never heard of him before, so that's somebody for me to.
He did Amelia Rules.
To look up.
Yeah, he writes for the middle school market, but it's like hilarious peanuts, 7/8 of the book, and then you turn the page and he's going to punch you in the gut so fucking hard that you're going to cry for a week. That
sold.
Was not expected.
Sold. I see. I love doing that sort of a thing. I love playing with people's expectations. That's one of the things that I think has been successful about Six Gun Gorilla is that people think like, oh, this is gonna be a silly book about a western with a gorilla, and it is fun, it is adventurous and everything, but it also I think has like a spiritual and an emotional depth that people don't expect.
Now, does he have inner monologue?
He does. On one page in issue 7.
Okay. And does he have like, English word inner monologue or like a picture of a banana and a picture of a gun? And
No. He can read. Remember this.
Oh.
He can read. He's not your average gorilla. And there's a secret. I'm not going to give it away. It's one of those things that the reader doesn't need to know, but that the author needs to know.
Okay.
And if I get to do the crossover that I want to do one of these days, which would be my dream project, then you'll find out the exactly what he is.
Oh,
but
cool.
Yeah.
You can't even tell us who you can cross. You can't even tell us who the crossover would be with, can you?
Yeah. Well, you know what? Screw it. I will tell you.
You heard it here first, folks.
Tarzan. Six Gun Gorilla versus Tarzan in Pellucidar.
I can help you there.
How so? I mean, how much longer is? Because I think some characters are going public domain, but Tarzan still for some time I think is gonna be wrapped up, right?
But my friend Michael Tierney, who is on the LCS Guys show with us every other Saturday. His last, well, maybe not his last, but one of his most recent works was Tarzan and the Mysterious She, that he wrote for the Burroughs organization. with their blessing.
Oh. And she, I'm assuming, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we're talking about the H. Rider Haggard character.
Nope. But it was,
okay.
But what this was there was a fragment of a Burroughs script that was never finished.
Oh,
and,
yes.
And he finished it, but they couldn't figure out how to ever make it work because because it was always like, well, Jane is the first woman he ever saw. Jane Porter is, that's the whole point. And this takes place before he meets Jane. How can this possibly reconcile? And Mike was like, I have the answer to this, and he writes it. And he'll tell you the whole story, but it got published and it is official canon in the Tarzan market. But he has contacts with the Burroughs estate, so if anything
oh my god, I would.
And it's not like they're against crossovers. They've done Tarzan Batman and Tarzan Superman, so it's
Tarzan Planet of the Apes was awesome. Actually, the one that I really loved was Tarzan versus Predator in Pellucidar.
Oh, that would be
by
fun.
Lee Weeks.
They did that?
Yes. It's awesome. It's awesome. Yeah, it's so damn good. And you're talking about Lee Weeks, one of the great illustrators, just killing it in that book. I forget who wrote it. I know Joe R. Lansdale is also was one of the guys that got to finish a Tarzan fragment. Like I don't know if you're familiar with Lansdale.
Oh yeah, I know Joe.
Okay, yeah, that big Six Gun Gorilla fan.
I saw his quote.
Yeah, that meant the world to me when I got that. It really, really did, and it still does. It was one of those things that when it happened, I was like, no matter what happens going forward, nobody can take this away from me.
Nope.
But yeah, no, I mean, my God, yeah, that would be my dream project, because really, and very few people have gotten this, and I'm surprised that not more people have noticed. Basically, what I've done with the story is it's basically Tarzan in reverse.
Yeah, it is.
But because you're taking, and rather than taking a human and dropping him in the jungle with a bunch of Manjani, you're taking a gorilla out of the Congo and dropping him in the Old West. And
he's intelligent enough to make it.
Yes, to survive. Also because he's he's not raised as like a slave or something like that. He's part of the family.
Right.
And that's what ultimately sets him on the vengeance trail. Is at the beginning of the first issue, his entire gorilla family gets wiped out, and the third issue, spoilers, he sees his adopted human father shot in the face with a shotgun, and then he snaps.
Yeah.
And he has this skill, he has this training as a trick shot artist, right? And a very, very popular attraction. Who wouldn't want to see a gorilla blasting beer barrels, out of the air with like pistols the size of like howitzer cannons?
Yeah, because they're made for his big hands.
Exactly. So, I'm somebody that believes in that, that revenge is a bad thing, a very bad thing. And yet at the same time, if I were him and in the exact same situation, what would I do? I would do the exact same thing that he's doing. Exactly. And I would do it knowing that it was wrong. And so that was an intriguing a place for me to work from with this character. But at the same time, it's like, well, I wanted to play this book straight because so many books out there are always winking at you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I wanted to do so, and I wanted to play it straight because it's more fun when you play it straight. At the same time, you don't want to fall into the Ang Lee trap and then just make it depressing or ponderous. You want to keep the story moving. And that's why with every issue, I'm very, very ruthless about editing. I'm always asking myself, does this scene move the story forward? Yeah. And that doesn't mean you can't have character scenes. Character scenes are great. but you don't want to fall into the trap of what we see in contemporary comics, contemporary mainstream comics these days. Thank you, Brian Michael Bendis, where you just have like talking heads.
Oh yeah, eating dinner.
Yeah, show don't tell. That's I wrote this book in such a way that if you can't read or you can't read English, you could still follow the story. That's very important to me.
Speaking of following the story, and by the way, hail Good Stuff Comics Gator, hail chat, hail panel, hashtag crack pack,
Hail everybody in the
hashtag
chat.
good stuff. Yes, say no to crack, say yes to crack pack. I have no idea what crack pack is. I'm catching up on that.
It's a Michael Bancroft thing.
Yeah, I know.
AR-15 orangutan is like totally taken off. I've told them that like if they do an AR-15 orangutan book and it outsells mine, I'm gonna go on a massive drunk and it's all gonna be their fault.
just have somebody draw a 6-gun gorilla going on a massive drunk, and then sell it as an ash can.
Oh my god!
But reading everything here now, maybe this is Common Core math, but I counted 1 through 6, and then I jumped to 8. I'm like, didn't there used to be a number called 7?
I'm sorry. Let me because what happened was there was somebody. These were hidden perks. I had created these and I had hidden these because I didn't want the page to be too crowded. Gotcha. I've always been a fan of the McDonald's menu, right? On this campaign, we have one main cover, one variant cover. You can also, if you're new to the world of 6-Gun Gorilla, you can catch up and get the previous 7 issues as add-ons.
Yes,
but I
add-ons
didn't
are
have
great.
Add-ons are great, but yeah. Hold on a sec. Number 7. Let me. Oh yeah, Mark Perk as visible. Yeah, that's the one that I missed. Thank you for pointing that out, brother.
Remember what I said about editing? I
Yes.
got that hardcover from Scholastic, and I emailed the guy back, and I was like, these ARC copies you sent, ARCs, Advanced Reader Copy, we call them ARCs in the business.
Right.
Right. I said, these pages here are out of sequence. And, because like I was reading, it's like, this is the weirdest flashback. Oh, wait, no, this is just, they're printed wrong. So I let him know, and he's like, oh, thank you. We will fix this. I'm like, glad you caught it in time, even though it was a hardcover, which kind of tipped me off. Well, I learned from I learned later from the creator that those were not ARC copies, and they had to pulp 40,000 copies of a book. So,
Flavor Flav creating
books. Ow. Yeah, all you creators out there, RJ is not just an editor of words. I know how to read comics, and I can tell if you've made something like this in your mistakes. Contact us. We will proofread and edit your work for you. It's what we do.
Right.
Somebody lost their job on that. I hate to think that.
Oh God! It's I've had friends who've printed books with just obvious typos.
Yeah,
and it's just like, dude, just it'll take you what 20-30 minutes max just to flip through and read the damn book and make sure that everything flows right. And I'm always very careful about those last minute lettering adjustments.
Yes, and even if you're a good reader, a good editor, if you're close to the project, your brain is skipping past things because I already know this. Yes. I've read this 57 times. I'm the person who wrote it, and you're not going to see it because
right. Because it's on the end of your nose.
It's a blind spot. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Where are my glasses? Oh, I'm wearing them.
Yes.
Yeah.
So and another set of eyes is always good to have. So you can get all 8 issues of 6-Gun Gorilla, the 8th being the most current one, at $15 per. Now, just looking at the proportions on this picture, this is a wraparound cover, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, like I said, Preston went all out, and it's a
he went ape.
He went ape. He went bananas. He works in different mediums, and is one hell of a painter, and did this beautiful canvas painting that's going to be a cover, and also at some point a poster, which you'll be able to buy individually or as an add-on. So if you're not buying the book or the other books because you're thinking like, oh, well, I want to wait until I can get this other stuff, don't worry, you're going to be able to get that by itself.
Now, have
You're not going to miss out on anything.
Have any of these books been collected into a trade paperback yet? I mean,
yeah, the very first campaign was for issues 1 through 6.
Okay, because I saw individual issues there, and I'm like, oh, I probably just scrolled past them.
Yeah, but what happened was I had a lot of customers that were confused by the previous campaign, right? Because they were like, okay, wait a second. Why does one book cost $35 and the other one costs $15? And I had to explain, well, it's because the one that costs $35 isn't a comic, it's 6 comics.
Yeah.
And the new one is $15. So what I did was I decided not to do a trade paperback this time. Last campaign, I was telling people this is going to be your last opportunity to get this trade paperback, maybe ever, in terms of like what issues are in there, and with the cane and white cover, which was just astounding. And I'm just selling floppies this time. And
well,
yeah, and of course, every book that you get from me is going to be signed by the author. And if you have never read a Six Gun Gorilla comic, you can actually download a PDF, a free PDF on this page that will give you the first issue.
The first hit's free, folks. Get a taste.
The Crack Attack would the Crack Pack would know the first one's always for free.
That's right. And this is the best deal here because, you got each of these issues, if you're trying to fill a hole, $15 for a floppy. But if you want to just get all of them, if you've had no Six Gun Gorilla in your life, save $20 here because this is $100 for all 8 issues. That's better than 80 plus 40. That's better than $120. And the shipping on it is going to be condensed down. It's cheaper to ship. This is what I tell all our customers when we're talking about, bringing books internationally and everything. It's cheaper to ship 8 books in 1 box than to ship 8 books in 8 boxes.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Oh my God, total non sequitur. But I posted a video on my channel of somebody in Singapore who got the books that I had sent, and they looked worse than I've ever seen any books.
Oh my God.
Because one of the beautiful things about this scene, and there are so many things I could wax poetic about all day, but one of the things that makes it so special is the one-on-one relationship that the backers have with the creators, right? If like I ordered some books like Requiem, Vampire Night from Humanoids, Heavy Metal, right?
Sure.
And the books arrived, and one of them was like a little bit bent or scuffed or something, right? If you get a book from me, and I'd like to say also pretty much anybody else in this scene, and it looks, it's scuffed up a little bit, has like a little bit of damage, we will replace it.
Yeah.
We'll take that hit. Now, of course, when you're talking about $28, that hit hurts a little bit, considerably more, but we still take the hit because, first of all, it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Second, you want to establish your reputation and the reputation of everybody else around you. And from a business standpoint, it's just a smart thing to do because you want to make sure that your customers are happy. But yeah, this guy had gotten like, and I don't know what happened to these books because they looked water damaged.
Oh,
and the mailer, the Gemini mailer, was pristine.
That's weird.
Yes, it may have been microwaved or something. Like the books looked like they were stuck together. But I mean, the the single issue of the Big Gun Down, which is the last issue, was like welded like to the
Oh
backing
yeah,
boards. It's
that
like,
got
oh,
that got water in it, and it didn't get around it. So it's like something leaked into it from another package, and the cardboard dried out.
I mean, I don't know.
This is why we have the option, and our first 5 clients got this for free. Our Gemini mailers are being slipped into a plastic vinyl mailer with the logo of your book printed full face on the cover, and then the label goes on the back. So you know
beautiful.
what you got, and it's protected from the elements in case your post office leaves it out on your doorstep in the middle of a hurricane.
Right.
It may still end up down the street because that's a hurricane. I kind of used an extreme example, but
yeah. Well, I mean, we've all I and my fellow creators, we've all gotten people who have received books that were like a little scuffed or something like that, or bent in a corner. I never saw like any books that were as jacked up as these were. And so yeah, if you want to see that video, it's funny too because I asked the guy who got this like is it okay for me to post this video on YouTube, and he was like, well, yeah, but why would you want to? Right? It's gonna like if anything, it's gonna scare customers away. It's like, no, because you're getting a replacement. I'm fixing this, right? And also, I just had to share my pain and my agony with my fellow creators. So anybody that's curious, go over, check out that video. If you're a comics creator, it's going to be agonizing though to watch.
Especially watch. I mean, I don't even get picky, and I'm a collector for decades. I'm a collector, but when I get a big pack of comics in the mail, I know it's coming in the mail. I got like the last 10 issues of Miskatonic High, and I ordered it, brand new Discovery with issue number 10. So I'm like, yeah, send me everything. So it's like first 5 issues in a trade, then 6 through 10 in issues. And, the way it was packaged in the mailer, there was like, it kind of wrapped. Something was bigger, something was smaller than all the issues, and it kind of got pushed around it. It was bigger, more stuff was in that media mailer than should have fit into it. So they're a little curled, and one corner was a little bent. I'm like, I'm reading the comics. I don't care. It's
I'm fine with that too. Like I'm not a collector. I'm a reader, right? Yeah. So like I would turn in like all of my long boxes just to have all those books on in trade paperback. But at the same time,
Hammer of Dune. No Ziplocs. We do not mail out comics in Ziplocs.
What up, Hammer? Look, I know Wenger caught shit for that, but that's security. You know what I mean? Nothing's getting through that.
Yeah, as long as there's a backer. Yes, absolutely. Wow, you've seen couriers able to bend and break wine bottle openers. That takes some courage. Yeah, usually your Gemini mailer is not going to curl up enough to go into your mailbox. They have to put it on your doorstep.
Yeah. Yeah, but I love that idea of having a special mailer that provides an extra layer of protection, and also has like the logo of the book. So when you get it, you're like, oh yeah,
oh yeah, oh man, I have got everything in place now because I just took out to the car. Some of the stuff got shipped here. I didn't mean to ship it here. My 1,000 backers, my 1,000 bags, they're now out in the back of the car. I've got 450 Gemini mailers at the place I'm living at in Arkansas, and I had no idea how big those suckers were unfolded, and 450 of them, how much volume that takes. That's a lot.
Heavy too, man.
And we've got the bags already in place for our first 2 shipments that are going to go out, which are going to be for Red Eyes 2 and the Embrace. Because weird thing, I do this for international backers, and one of the first 2 people is like domestic. He's like, yeah, I just don't want to do it. So I'm like, okay, fine with me. Pay me, and I will mail it out for you.
Hell yeah. Oh, real quick, what up, Nefarious? And Mr. Yonofui says, did I hear something about Wenger? Is he alive? Yeah, he's alive. He's just been like gone from the scene for a while. Let me tell you, man. One of the reasons like this campaign has been kind of slow is because it's been very difficult for me to get my campaign mojo back. You know, when you get into the swing of it and you're hitting all the different shows and stuff.
Yeah.
And you know, you have to get in the headspace, but also, you know, I've been busy creating. I've been busy writing. You know, I've been working on the Blood Hunt, Doc Salem crossover. I'm almost done with that.
Ooh.
You know, that's going to be the breakdowns are going to be by Simon Sim Poitier, and then the finishes are going to be by Preston Acevedo. So the two of them basically have put their sandboxes together and given me their action figures, invited me to come in and play with them. And
that's gonna be fun.
It's been a blast to write. It's been a blast to write, and it is. That's the emphasis on that book is going to be fun.
Yes.
Although it's waxed a little bigger than I expected. They were thinking like, because I was like, how long you want this thing? And they're like, maybe like 40 pages or something. And then I was like on page like 38, and the characters were still kicking the crap out of each other. I was like, yeah, this might be a little bit longer. And they're like, yeah, that's cool, bro. Don't worry.
Yeah, you said that's why CG comics take a minimum of 2 years. It's the law. You are right there. And yeah, everybody's working together and playing together, and they've got all these characters, and it doesn't matter how different or wild the characters are. Crossover? Yeah, hell yeah, let's do it. We'll find a way to make it work. That's why we've got Nexus and Bigfoot Bill and Lone Star in one book. I'm like, first of all, freaking Nexus is playing in the Comicsgate sandbox.
Like Baron, jeez, man. Yeah, and here's the thing with Blood Hunt Doc Salem, Preston and Sim were just talking, and Sim was like, "Dude, it's a monster hunter versus a vampire assassin. It writes itself.
Yeah, it does,
and it does, and it did."
I've been trying to get Von Klaus involved. I'm like, look, what if you have a monster hunter running up against somebody who saves monsters like Monster MD? Like,
right, like I'm like bastard, I'm having to pick your silver bullets out of this werewolf's ass.
Yes, exactly.
Stop.
Have you read Monster MD?
No, I still haven't gotten my copy. F you, Vaughn. But no, Vaughn is brilliant. He's a great dude. I'm so happy for his success. I told him that he would hit 6 figures, and he was just like, "Oh no, no way, that's gonna happen." And sure enough, he has. He's past the 100K mark, and I have heard nothing but glowing reviews of Monster MD. And
he came to me for a review early on when it was like, I have 10 pages, I have 15 pages done of this thing, and he came to me at a time when I was like, it was early in the days of CG, and like, are you sure you want me to review this? Because I just tried this whole review of CG book thing, and I gave it like a 3.5, and I picked some things on the art. And by the way, the artist was, he's one of your artists, and now the name's escaping me. Kanan White. And I was like, it's like, it was just a titchy thing about the art. There was a woman in bed with a baby, and a guy comes in with a tray, and then the next panel you see the tray on the bed next to a woman. I'm like, he put the tray on the baby.
Oh no!
But
well, here's the thing. I would like to review people's books too, but I can't because I'm a creator.
Yeah, exactly. You get a conflict of interest there. But the guy who made the books put up a video rebuttal of my review.
Oh man!
And I was like, I'm not even watching it because I'm not getting sucked into that. But I told Vaughn, I'm like, are you sure? Because this is what happened last time. He's like, yeah, that video is exactly why I'm here. Because if you say the book is good, then I know you mean it.
Exactly. We don't want fake good reviews. That doesn't help us. Because then, if anything, people are going to be disappointed. They're not getting what they thought they were going to get. Like I said, I've been really blessed. I've been really, really lucky. I've gotten nothing but great reviews. Everybody who reads it seems to love it. You put your work out there. You don't know how people are going to respond to it. No. You don't know if people are going to connect with it or not. I thought some people would really connect with this. I thought some people would really connect with Six Gun Gorilla, but I didn't expect like virtually everybody to. So that's the thing. It's you take you pay your money, you take your chances, and
You need to get a
hopefully
6-foot slee stack in there.
a 6-foot slee stack.
Yeah, so you can get that whole Kong versus Godzilla dynamic thing going.
Well,
Can you microscale?
Well, what I'm gonna do is, I mean, I've got so many other projects that I'm working on. I'm happy to say I'm a busy guy. People are hiring me to write for them, and that's extraordinary. I got a little bit of imposter syndrome. Like, at any moment, people are going to be like, "Wait a second, you're not supposed to be here."
Yeah.
But I think it's at a healthy level, because you also don't want to be an arrogant prick. And I've seen so many artists that are ruined by early success, where the first thing they do is like a smash hit or is really well received, and then they just want to do more of that rather than branch out and maybe try some other things. I got horror comics I want to do. I got science fiction comics I want to do. I got a sword and sorcery comic I want to do. And then of course, I could see myself doing Six Gun Gorilla for like another 20 years. I have that much story in me, and one of the things also that I want to start doing with this book is I want to start doing 8-page backup stories that are going to be little origin stories or little introductory stories of characters that are going to appear in a book that's going to come out later. That's going to be called Any Gun Can Play. And it's going to be like a Magnificent Seven of the Weird West. So Six Gun Gorilla is going to be in that, but he's not going to be the central character. He's going to be part of an ensemble. And so what I'm hoping to do is if we reach our campaign goal with this, I'm going to do a 8-page backup story of one of these characters who's called the Dandy, who is basically the world's first school shooter, who grows up in a very wealthy landed gentry family, and then gets sent to one of those absolutely notoriously abusive schools. What did they call them?
Boarding schools.
Boarding schools. Thank you. Yeah. And comes home for Christmas, and his uncle has just come back from the New World, and he has a little present for his nephew, and it's a cult peacemaker. And he does horrible things to the bullies, and he also shoots the chef in the leg, the cook in the leg, for making horrible food all the time he was there. And then he hops on a boat and ends up in America and becomes a bounty hunter, because he discovers that he doesn't, God, the idea of work is beyond him. Imagine Oscar Wilde in the Old West, basically.
Oh gosh, Batlash.
Well, no. Well, Batlash is a cad. Batlash is just a straight up cad, but also a bit of a dandy for sure. But this is going to be a guy who's going to be considerably more effeminate, riding with a little parasol to protect himself from the sun. So, but also a stone killer. He discovers that that's the one thing that he's very good at, and that he's just a natural at is killing people.
Go with your strengths, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, but he's a fun character. So he's gonna be one of the one, and like I said, in every issue going forward, I'm hoping to introduce more of these characters.
Sounds like he's the kind of guy where somebody's gonna look up from a ditch while he's riding past it. What's that frilly blouse thing you're wearing?
Yeah, pretty much. But I've already written the story, and he's just a very fun character. So Any Gun Can Play. It's going to be a bunch of these Weird West characters, really fun characters, all on a adventure together.
And these little shorts are going to start putting them on a collision course.
Yes.
Yeah.
let people kind of get acquainted with some of them.
So I'm 54 now. I should be like about 62 when all the books are done to come out. Yeah.
Well, you know what? Look, what we're hoping for, the dream is to be like quarterly, right?
Yeah.
And Preston's great. He works pretty fast. He has a bunch of other projects he's also working on, but I'm hoping to wrap up this 10-issue arc, if not this year, next year, and start doing other stuff, because there's a lot of other stuff I want to do. If we could get to the point where we're and I'm not just myself, but people in the scene, if we could get to the point where we are releasing books quarterly, I think that's the goal. Monthly out of the question, bi-monthly out of the question, quarterly I think possible.
That's where Miskatonic High is at. And they did it by, they were trying to sell the book, and they kept making the book, and they had 5 issues done before they crowdfunded the first book. So let's try Kickstarter.
Right.
So they were, and they could have made the mistake of crowdfunding all 5 and then shot their wad, but they went with one, says, hey, this sells, okay, well, let's prep number 2, and and they're at a point where they're putting about every 3 months now.
Well, it's interesting, because at first I really regretted my first campaign being the first 6 issues, right?
Yeah.
But I wanted to grab people, and I wanted to grab them hard, and that worked out. That worked out beautifully, because people were like really emotionally invested in the book at that point. But at first I was definitely thinking, oh damn, I was stupid. I should have done, issue 1, issue 2, like that. Maybe I should have, but I don't think people would have really taken to the book the way that they have if I had done it any other way.
Well,
but now no more trade paperbacks, only floppies for you people.
Oh man, okay, so I've got to buy floppies. I'll deal with it. The world
Not that I don't still have a couple of TPBs stashed, but
those are for conventions.
Oh man, I can't wait till we start doing conventions again.
I know.
It's going to be, actually, another little convention goodie I always used to have on my table.
Oh, what do we got? Let's bring up the big screen.
Dun, 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 dun.
What is that, a Kong that you put a serape on?
Nope. This is a Gorilla Grodd figure.
Oh, sweet.
Because I was looking at different gorilla figures on eBay and elsewhere, and this one just had the right facial expression.
He's got the Western sideburns.
Yes, and actually I have his pistols too, but I don't have them handy right now. And then I had somebody make a custom hat and also the poncho. And this is the exact same poncho design as the one that he wears in the comic book.
That's very cool.
I believe.
Yes. Hammer of Doom's asking if you were the guy who sent a few of those books to EVS. If I remember right, he really liked them.
Yes, he raved. Yeah, he raved about it. It was like I actually have a trailer. One of my trailers starts with him just going off about how much he loved it and how brilliant he thought it was.
You get a name recognition blurb, man. Just run with it.
Yeah, I mean, I was a little annoyed because he was just like, "Oh, dude, I'm gonna have you on. I'm gonna have you on. I'm gonna have you on. I'm gonna have you on." And he never had me on, but at the same time, he doesn't know me shit, So whatever.
Hey, Ethan, look,
ECE.
Get this guy on. Get him on your show.
Yeah, no, I mean he endorsed the book and said that he loved it. Cecil also loved it. I have a special Cecil trailer.
Yeah.
And he's also said he's going to have me on, and I don't know if he's like Twitter banned or something right now, but he was last time I spoke to him, he was like, dude, like I'm giving you permission to be a pain in my ass, like remind me. So that's all good. But once again, it's, you always have to operate from the place of nobody owes you anything.
Yeah.
And the last thing you want to do is be an entitled prick,
Market everything. I mean, my first novel, novella size, actually was a Alice in Wonderland pastiche, and it was written as though it were like the third Lewis Carroll book that was just found.
Oh, cool! That's a cool idea.
And it's got all the notes out to if you've ever seen Martin Gardner's annotated Alice.
Yeah, I have.
That tells the story that, hey, this thing that you really like, this was meant for one person and had all these inside jokes in it that she would get, and things that were going on with her family and in the news, and here that all is. So I did that with the outside annotations and everything.
Oh, that's wild. That's amazing.
And I called it Alice's Journey Beyond the Moon. The funny thing is that I gave it to like the local papers. I'm like, here, if you want to do local book review things, and they read it, and their first thing that came was like, so why did they come to you when they found these notes? I'm like, oh God, you just fell for the whole thing.
But what a compliment.
Yeah, well, I was trying to write as much like Carol was as possible. I even had the editor sending it back saying, your punctuation's all wrong here. I'm like, no, here's his handwritten version of Alice in Wonderland. They're like, oh, we get it. You're going for authenticity. Never mind.
Did you put his real name on there? Like, no, I mean, he was the Reverend Charles Dodson, I think. But yeah, but obviously his pen name was Lewis Carroll, so you wouldn't want. Yeah, he would always have signed everything Lewis Carroll, I would think. But yeah, no, that's great, man. It was like with we mentioned Lovecraft before. People were claiming to have found copies of the Necronomicon. Right, that was one of like the legendary non-existent books that was rumored to exist, and he was so convincing when he would quote from it. It sounded legit. That's like as a writer, can you really ask for anything better? You've gotten your readers to absolutely invest in the story that you're telling them. If you can get away with that, that's for sure. But and one other miniature. Check that out. This is from Reaper Minis. And this is definitely my version of the character because he has the poncho and the hat and everything, and they just called him Cactus Joe. I still haven't painted this one, but yeah, it's not like I was like, damn it, they ripped me off or something like that. It's like, it's all good. Any thoughts on putting a tier for a quick class on storytelling? Wow, I don't know. I never even thought about that. If I were to do something like a class on storytelling, it would be free. I do like a series of YouTube videos. And I don't know that I feel qualified. Oh, dude, I can't. Can you hear me?
How about now?
Yeah, now we can hear you.
Okay, that makes sense because I was like talking earlier and you were like, oh, one more thing. I'm like, oh, well, okay, keep going. I didn't realize my mic had come unplugged.
It's all good. It's all good. It's a casual stream.
I was like, hi, I'm Brian Christgau, and welcome to my masterclass. You see all those ads on YouTube. And the reason that was in my mind was I was talking about the Alice book. I had stolen the title from a book on a shelf in a panel in a Sandman book. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm writing that book. And the publisher had sent Neil a copy because he had done work for them before, and he put it on his blog. He's like, and this is arrived from this publisher. He named the book and the author. He's like, it's the first time I recall a book ever having escaped Lucian's library. So I'm sitting here trying to sell this book for like ever, and I'm like, a nobody. And finally, banner buzz came along, and I'm like, I'm buying a banner, and I put the book there, and in great big, the biggest letters possible, I wrote, "It's the first time I can recall a book escaping Lucian's library. Neil freaking Gaiman." Well, not the freaking, but
yeah.
So now people walk by and they see Neil Gaiman's name out of the corner of their eye, and they stop. I'm like, that's how you do it. Did he say I could do that? No, but he put it out on the internet, so it's free.
Yeah. I mean, in that Joe Lansdale quote, I have that on the big old banner that I have for conventions. Even if most people, obviously he's not as big of a name as somebody like Neil Gaiman, it's more for me than anybody else. But
he's a big name. He's known in conventions, and by God, I will ride whoever's coattail is big enough for me to stand on.
Hell yeah. And when he gave me this, this incredibly wonderful, generous quote to use, I was really moved by that. But real quick about the storytelling stuff. There's certain books I recommend for people that are novice writers or wannabe comic book writers. First one you got to get is this one right here, Hero of a Thousand Faces by Joseph Campbell.
Yes.
Right? Get this.
I have that copy.
Right? And yeah, you can see there's like little notes and stuff in there.
Look like $20 bills, man.
Yeah, they do kind of. But yeah, is that fake money? Oh yeah, it's a fake $1,000 bill. Yeah, but
okay.
Yeah. Another good one is The Writer's Journey: Mythic Structure for Storytellers and Screenwriters. This is by Christopher Vogler. That's a good one. Poetics by Aristotle.
Aristotle, yes.
Highly recommend that.
I have a copy of that. Very old copy. I read it in airplanes. On airplane trips, it gets attention. It's like, is he reading?
It's reading Aristotle. But don't think like Aristotle. That shit's gonna be boring. No, not at all. It's short. It's about 50 pages or something like that. You can get it for free online. Yeah. If as a PDF or something. And then those. Oh, and this was a pretty handy book, I thought. Writers on Comics Script Writing.
Ooh, that's very cool. Especially if you want to write comics.
Yeah. And what I liked about this is, they're like Q&As, and I forget if and then of course then they have script samples.
Yes. That's ingenious to have that.
Yeah. So
because manuscript format is important with comics, because it's not just your typical William Shun manuscript format. You got
but it's also I would urge new comic book writers to not sweat format.
Oh yeah, because there's so many to pick from.
Because there's so many. And remember, when you're writing a comic book script, you're writing it for like 2, maybe 3 people.
Yeah.
Right. At the most. So you can put in little notes. Well, I'll do that. I'm very, very personal in my scripts. Yeah, I know who I'm working for, right? So if I was writing a script for Adrian, it'd be like note to Adrian, or note to the letterer, that kind of a thing. It can be very informal.
Yeah, you can be, a Stan Lee script says Spider-Man fights Doc Octopus while the bank burns, or it can be Alan Moore's like page 1 of 3,000.
That's another book. I don't know if I have it handy, but I don't even know if it's still in print. But Alan Moore wrote an essay on writing comics that is very, very useful, and I also highly recommend. But yeah, if you look at his script, if you look at like Pat Mills' script for Judge Dredd, there'll be like one panel that just says "Dredd on bike." And then you'll look at an Alan Moore script, and it's like a page and a half of him describing like one panel.
Yeah, because he's very picky about we're telling the story with the picture, so here is all the art direction for this picture.
Right.
Have you ever read Peck's Bad Boy and His Pa by George Peck?
No, I can't say that I have.
That must be a book on writing. I liked Stephen King's The Craft.
I liked it too.
On writing rather.
Yeah. I liked it. I liked it too. I don't think it's that useful from like a nuts and bolts standpoint. well, understand this too. I mean, I love to read books about writing, but nothing's going to take the place of actual experience.
Yeah.
And there's something about the craft itself of comic book writing. It's a very unnatural way to tell a story, because what you're doing is that you're telling a story in snapshots.
Right.
Right? So you're not even describing things. It's not even like a screenplay where you're describing things as they're happening. You're taking a snapshot. And you also want to make sure that you're still also flexible enough that the artist that you're working with can make a contribution themselves. If you're working with somebody, it's presumably because you trust their storytelling ability. And like my man Preston said, when you're working in comics, when you're making a comic, you have two storytellers. And sometimes their ideas are going to be better than your ideas, or they're going to be able to like look at a page. I'm sorry, I was just looking for Dennis O'Neill's book on I think writing comics the DC way. That's also an excellent, like, that's a really good nuts and bolts book. So I recommend that too. But you want to because I look at Alan Moore's scripts, and can you argue with the results? At the same time, that's not how I work, because the very often, like, if you have the emphasis, if you have like 3 panels and like there's one huge panel and 2 small ones, and your artist is like, no, well, the drama isn't there, it's here. Let's make this the big panel. They more often than not, they're correct. At least the people that I've been lucky enough to work with.
Yeah. All right. Well, you know what, Brian, we're closing in on 2 hours here, so let's make sure that we let people know. Hey, I've got nowhere to be.
But thank you so much for having me on. This was a really good conversation, and also the conversation with the chat. Thanks everybody for tuning in.
Glad to have you here, folks in the chat. The link for Six Gun Gorilla number 8. I got something in my eye there. It's right down there below the video. Click on that if you haven't already, and go out there and make sure you get that. In fact, if you've never got Six Gun Gorilla before, hit that featured tier. Get all 8 copies. Save $20. They're $15 per. You can get all 8 for $100. One package, and make it happen for the gorilla with the guns. The first gorilla with the guns. Anyway, Brian, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, brother.
Everyone in the chat, appreciate you being here. We don't have a show without you. And